The Joe Rogan Experience.
Online
because
fraud
we're living
is
in
crazy.
we're living in the golden age of scams.
I get like 30 texts a day. The dude that owned my phone number before me, this dude Raymond, was a moron.
Right.
And Raymond, you fucking idiot. Did you sign up for everything, bitch? Because this guy,
too.
like every day, like, hey, Raymond,
it's
like,
crazy.
oh, your loan's been approved.
So really fun. I'm going to come on your podcast next year once I'm done with this project, but I'm working on a really fun project for National Geographic, which is where I say yes to every single scam that comes my way.
Oh, boy.
I've been filming it for a few months, and it's been the craziest, wildest journey of
Can
my
you
life.
tell us?
I can't.
No?
I can't.
Okay.
I just can tell you that I have romantic relationships with people.
Hot damn.
I spend a lot of time on my burner phone with people love bombing me.
Really?
But it's not. It's a fake persona. Like I put a wig and glasses. And
so you use your own picture. You don't even use AI?
No, I don't use AI. We actually sort of modified. We put a fake nose on me and a wig and glasses. But people say it doesn't look at all like me. I can see it's me. But I will talk. It's really fascinating. But also to talk about scams, which I can talk about a lot, is we are living in the golden age of scams. I think it was Warren Buffett that said fraud and scams are the number one growth industry of our time. And one of the stories we did, which is so sad, and I hate to bring it down back to a sad topic, but is that I didn't know this before starting to report on it, which a lot of times you think, these scammers, these guys that are texting and emailing you and calling you, that these are, people in West Africa or, wherever, but like loan operators. Well, we did a story about these scam factories. Have you heard of these?
No.
It's these compounds in places like Cambodia and Myanmar in Asia where it's basically factories sometimes with thousands and thousands of people, forced labor. So these are mostly people from India, sometimes Brazil, other Asian countries. The Philippines is a big place where they respond to ads to work in what they think are legitimate businesses, to work in online companies and whatnot. And they pay for their expenses to travel to these places, to Cambodia and Myanmar. In Myanmar, they're operating out of this area that's an ongoing civil war and is ruled by these militias. And they get in there, and as soon as they get in, they take away their passports, and they're trapped, and they're forced to scam. So they spend 24/7 scamming Americans and European people.
Wow.
And it is an industry where they're making billions of dollars. The U.S. government just recently seized $15 billion from one company, from one group of people alone in crypto. Whoa. It's the craziest thing. So these people are being tortured and beaten, sometimes killed, and forced to scam. So we went actually to Myanmar. We were smuggled into the border, into Myanmar, into the country illegally.
Whoa.
Across the river, and spent time in this town that was basically built by this Chinese gang that was all with the money of scamming Americans. And they were trying to build like a mini Macau. And the guy that ran the company is called Yatai International, and he took us on a tour of this mini Macau. And it was so surreal. It was like these aqua parks with no one in the aqua park and these luxury casinos. We ended the night, it was so crazy. This guy said he would give us an interview, but first we had to do the tour. And the interview would happen the next day. So we ended a night, this was actually not filmed, in a karaoke. That was a massive room where every wall and the ceiling was all a screen. It was like the future. And this is in a war-torn area of a country that's incredibly poor, and they've built this place with millions and billions of dollars from profits of scamming. Wow. And we ended the night with this guy, who's basically the head of this criminal Chinese gang running these scams, in this karaoke singing Celine Dion and Whitney Houston and being poured whiskey and whatever high-end brand we wanted.
You were getting drunk with them?
Oh, my God, yes. I was singing my heart out. I spent the whole night singing Whitney Houston. The videos are so embarrassing because I cannot sing to save my life. But I was like, we need to get this guy on tape, so I'm just going to do whatever.
Wow.
And then the next day we interviewed him, and it was just fucking crazy. And we ended our last day. I mean, we interviewed a Chinese dude, so sad, like 21-year-old who was caught trying to escape and was chased out of the building. He ran out of a third floor, broke both his legs, one at the hip, practically died, was actually saved by an onlooker who took him to the hospital and then moved to Thailand where I met him. He was in a wheelchair. Told us about beatings. We spoke to another Indian kid also who was they had a water hose on his body. He was forced to stand for 24 hours and then electrocuted. And I mean, the videos out of these places were insane. Like people with horrific wounds and people dying and killed. And just forced
so they're being forced to
scam, forced to fucking scam.
Into scamming.
Yeah, forced into scamming. And then we interviewed a girl called Angel who was raped repeatedly by her bosses, and she's sort of the face model. So a lot of times after speaking to these, what they think are romantic relationships for a long time, they want to see people's faces. So this is the girl that then they put a fake of AI face on top of her, but it has to be a girl because of the mannerisms and the voice. And they have this girl who actually speaks English, and she would talk to victims of scams and pretend that she was the wonderful woman that they'd been dating for months. And convince them to put their money into this crypto business that was fake, and take millions out of these victims. So this woman starts crying and telling me how she knows she's doing something awful, and how she's raped and how she doesn't want to be doing. And at the end, she says, I said yes to doing this, even though it's incredibly dangerous. But I accepted doing this because I just want a message for the victims in America, the people that I've spoken to, that I'm sorry. I just want to apologize for all the harm that I've caused. And she's like in tears, but I have no way out. I mean, these are heart-wrenching stories. And the last day we were there, we were able to, there's this amazing organization called Acts of Mercy, religious-based organization that is working to try to get these people out. And a lot of these bosses actually, if you can pay for ransom, you can pay $10,000 to save a person from there. So because if you're a bad scammer, if you're there and you're horrible and if you're sad and depressed and you're not doing your job, it's better for these bosses if you just get paid $10,000 to let this person go. So there was this case of the Filipino woman who the boss had agreed to a $12,000 payment to release her. But it's really dangerous there's this negotiator that goes and sort of tries to get her out of this compound. But he has to come with the money and he has to be able to pay the crime boss, but he also has to pay the militias to get him in. So it was like a whole process. And we were with this group, Acts of Mercy and another guy, filming them as they're on the phone negotiating her release. And they're on the phone with her. She's inside the scam center. And she's like, where do I go? This scam center is massive. She had no idea where to go. And they're saying, go to the west gate. And the guy is there waiting for you. She's like, I don't know where to go. And she's crying. If they see me with the phone, because it's a confiscated phone, they're going to beat me and they're going to put me in the dark room where I'm beaten and, tortured for days. And Amy, the woman on this side, is telling her, believe us. There's somebody waiting for you. Do not be afraid. Bring your phone. We need to be telling you how to get there. It was his whole ordeal. It was like fucking insane. It was out of a movie. And in the end, they didn't manage to get her out. But she was, not that day, but she was released a month later. And she made it to safety. But this just to show how dangerous and difficult it is, even when they agree to let them go. And
so what are most of the scams? Are most of the scams romantic?
Crypto scams. They're called pig butchering scams.
Pig butchering?
Yeah, that's the name they give them because it's an Chinese expression. It started in China. It started as a domestic scam in China, actually. And yeah, pig butchering because the idea is that you fatten the pig, which is your victim, and then you kill them at the end, right? Which that's why it's called pig butchering. But the idea is that you meet somebody online, and it's usually a beautiful girl or man, and you start a relationship with that person.
How do they meet them?
You know those texts that you get a lot of times, like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while? A lot of those are pig butchering scams. A lot of messages you get on Instagram from these beautiful girls
They're stepping it up because I got a few iMessages like that.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, whoa.
Me too.
Not even just a green text bubble anymore. They got iPhones now.
And then they tell you, follow me on Instagram, and then you go, let's go on WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. And then they're sending you photos of them in their private jets and living this wonderful life.
Is that what they're doing with you?
Yes.
With your
in other
your
ways, yeah.
In others, so
Yeah.
these scams that
Yeah,
you're
one
responding
of the
to?
one we're trying to get is that we're getting several different kinds of scams, like Indian call centers and all of the different scams. But eventually they start saying, look, we are living. And so you're curious, like, how are you making so much money? It's like, oh, yeah, I've been investing in crypto and, I can't really tell you much about it now. So it can last months. And at some point they're like, okay, I built a relationship. Yeah. I'm going to tell you how I do it. You've got $5,000 right now, and then you put the $5,000, and then they show profit on these fake websites. It looks completely legitimate. And you're saying, oh my God, I put 5,000 and now I have 10. How much more can I put in? So people are going all in, and they're like everything they have, 401ks, they're remortgaging their houses, everything. And then, did you hear the case about the guy in Kansas?
No.
The bank
No.
guy, the guy that was the head of this bank in Kansas? Jamie, did you hear about this? It's a fucking fascinating story. It was a story in the New York Times, and then it got reported everywhere. I was trying to get this guy to talk to me because his story is fascinating. So this guy, amazing member of the community, small town in Kansas, the local bank that was started by the farmers decades ago. It's where all the farm community would put their money, would trust this bank. Well, it turns out that this guy, the head of this bank that everybody trusted, upstanding member of the community, stole millions of dollars from the bank, and the bank went bankrupt. And he was stealing the money because he was being scammed by a pig butchering scam. And it started with him putting his own money. And then they kept on saying that in order to release the funds and all the millions that he'd made from his initial investment, he would put in more and more money. I think he ended up putting in something like
$47
million dollars from
customer accounts to scammers, depleting the bank's holdings. When a state banking regulator uncovered this fraud, it closed the bank and called the FBI. Whoa. He started slow, investing a few $1,000s in 2022 to buy what he thought was cryptocurrency. Oh, my goodness.
How sad is that?
Wow.
I mean, awful. Obviously, he was stealing from his customers.
Wow.
But I find it so... He actually traveled to Australia at one point thinking he was going to meet the people that owed him money. I mean, he actually was completely scammed. And this is like the head of a bank.
Yeah.
The head of a fucking bank.
Wow.
It's fucking crazy. These guys are so good.
That's crazy.
Bananas.
They get a banker, but
Yeah.
is a banker in Kansas, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
Don't be mean.
Sorry, Kansas. But you know what I'm saying.
Well, he's in prison now.
Oh, well, he should be. He stole
Yeah,
$47 million. But he's also a dumbass. And the crazy thing is that you could be a dumbass and be a smart person if greed gets involved.
Yeah,
Greed is like... I think greed for shady people, it's kind of fascinating because you got to know at one point in time this is not smart. But the greed is like, but what if it is?
But I think more than greed, I think it's the acceptance that you have lost all that money. And that must weigh so heavily on you. If you have... if you're about to foreclose your home, if you'd sent all the money from your kids' college funds,
I mean the banker.
Oh, yeah, but even the banker. But even the banker, he sent all his, initially it was all his money.
Right, but then he started stealing. That's all greed.
I think it got to a point that he was swindled and made to believe that if you give more money, he would get the money that he initially invested back.
1 million,
and he would be able to put back
to?
the $45 million that he stole from his customers.
Boy.
I think the realization, and this is something that I know from talking to so many scamming victims, it's not so much about wanting to make that money. It's the realization that you've been talking to somebody that's not real, and that you have been so swindled. And I don't want to use the word dumb because I think all of us can fall victims to these scams, but that the acceptance of that is really difficult. So you just want to keep on believing it. You just pay whatever you need to pay so the dream stays alive.
Yeah, there's a Carl Sagan quote about that it's easier to convince a person. Like, it's harder to, like, once a person has been swindled, it's much more difficult to convince them of the swindle. Yeah. They'll find ways to justify that it must be true.